everyone, and welcome back to Delmere with episode 8. And today we're going to be working on this district over here, just opposite the boulevard from the office park slash hospital complex that we built a few episodes ago. I'm just going to be spending the first few minutes laying down the roads for this district. But before we get into that, I'd just like to say I'd like some feedback from all of you, the viewers, on what kind of districts and neighborhoods you'd like to see coming to Delmere in the future. I have a few ideas, and the thing is, I used to take a fair bit of inspiration for the city from Urban Architects Canada series, which makes sense. I'm building a vaguely Vancouver-esque city, and that was one of the best series out there to take inspiration from. But in light of his recent, let's say, retirement from YouTube, I don't really have any of that anymore. So I'm turning to you all, the viewers, for ideas. Like I said, I have some ideas for what I want to do. But yeah, I'd also like to know what you want to see. So, leave those down in the comments. Anyways, about what we're building today. This is going to be another high-rise residential district. Most residential districts near the city center in Delmere will probably be like this. And yeah, it's built on this sort of hill that's ended up over here. Just as a result of all the height differences, I've had to create for some of like the sunken roads and stuff that we've built in other areas of the city. And given that it's not a true hill, that gives you an idea at the name of this area, Falls Hill. The other reason is that it's inspired by Falls Creek in Vancouver. One of the more famous neighborhoods in Vancouver, I think. It's known for being one of it's one of the most well-known examples of this style of Vancouverism, I guess. So yeah, that's what this area is based on. We're going to use some buildings that I think aren't from Falls Creek, but they definitely look like they could be from that. They are Vancouver buildings. But yeah, essentially what I'm doing over here is I'm creating a few of the grid blocks that you see in Falls Creek. The sort of just like really long blocks, and once you start placing down buildings, you'll understand what I'm trying to achieve. But yeah, as you can see, I'm not good at laying down the roads. I'm sort of placing down stuff and seeing what sticks. This year we're just making, so this is one of the things that comes about from having all these height differences. I can do like all these underpass and stuff, which I find quite interesting to have. The city doesn't just end up being a flat grid of roads. Yeah, we have this sort of underpass thing that'll head into a neighborhood that we'll be building at a later date. But yeah, this entire district as a whole it seems to be in kind of a weird spot in the city, I'll be honest. It's it's not far from the city center, but it's not quite close enough, and that's one of the reasons I decided to try and go for a Falls Creek vibe here, because that is what Falls Creek seems to be. It's not exactly in the city center, but it definitely feels like a big city there, so yeah, as you can see, we're laying down some of these blocks, and basically the placement of the buildings is the main thing that I'm taking from Falls Creek. They have a lot of condo buildings of the same style, and spaced out from each other as much as possible. and that's what I've gone for over here. And you can see that in those two main blocks and this third block that I'm building right now. There's a few buildings in here that don't exactly match the Vancouver style, but they still look like really modern condo buildings, which in the end is the kind of Vancouver vibe that I'm going for. This one in particular is it's a set from Nur-Sultan in Kazakhstan, which, I mean, it's not exactly Vancouver, is it? But I'd say it actually does look really good. It fits in fairly well. And a lot of these other buildings around here are definitely not Vancouver-esque. The buildings that I just placed earlier, they're just like regular condo buildings, but even then, they don't look out of place per se. They just sort, I guess you could say they're like older condo buildings in the city or something like that. And yeah, that seems to work. This sort of area of the city, as you'll see in a bit, ends up having, I'd say, a few too many high-rises. Not this area that's on the screen now, but the one we were working on just a second ago. I feel like the density of high-rises might have been a bit much. This is one of the things I might have to go back and revisit. Long story short, there's a few places in the district that need some reworking, but overall, yeah, I think I did a decent job of emulating Fall Street, having a lot of high-rises in the area that's not necessarily the center of the city. That's the gist of it. Now, this area, over by this other boulevard, as you can see, I'm deviating from that Falls Creek style. I've got a bunch of these sort of older, typically American style buildings, and I did this on purpose. It was a way to sort of separate the main high-rises of this district from the high-rises of the financial district and the other residential district that we built a few episodes ago. Just to sort of increase that feel of it being more separated from the main city center. And it is something that is there in Vancouver as well. You'll see between Falls Creek and downtown there is a short stretch of buildings that don't feel that Vancouver-y. They're more like typical North American buildings. So that's why I went for over there. This area down here is just going to be a bunch of residential buildings. A mixture of high-rises and mid-rises, mostly. That's what's going to come up here. Another thing that you probably saw a few seconds ago was this interestingly shaped roundabout that, yeah, you can see just now. That's not something I made. I'm not going to take credit for that. It's something that I saw on Strict Toaster's Night Owl series, great series by the way, a long time ago. I believe I saw it on one of the tram rides, and I recreated it from that. And yeah, it's just a really interestingly shaped roundabout, and that's probably half of what I've been doing in Delmere until now. Yeah, it's just something really interesting to look at, and it's not like a traditional roundabout. It's not just a circular road. It's got this kidney bean kind of shape. It is interesting. This year I'm adding these condos to the bases of these high-rises. Just makes them feel a little closer to the road itself. And you get some extra residential blocks at the same time. So yeah, now along these two main roads, the one with the bus lanes and the one with the tram line, I am trying to not place too many residential buildings along it and focus more on adding some commercial development and some uh, leisure as well, which you can see there's that event hall off on the right I placed. And that's just, I guess, to add a touch of realism in that, like, it wouldn't be particularly realistic to have this entire uh, district and not have anything other than residential. So it works out pretty well that way. I am adding a few of these mixed-use developments as well. I'm guessing those would make a little more sense rather than just plain residential buildings. That works too. And you can see it's a bit difficult to fill in these weird angles in the roads that come from like the two different grid layouts that the entire area is based on. And yeah, a lot of my work now just goes into filling in all these gaps as best as I can, which is the easiest said than done. Now this big area was a little hard to fill in, but I used this library asset from Zauma in Finland, and it fits in just about. Like, it's overlapping the sidewalks on both sides by a few feet, but it just fits in really well. So I decided to keep it in. I didn't detail everything around it. By the end, there are a few things that I will have to do off camera, and that's something that's true of a lot of the things I'll be building in the series. Actually, I'm not going to be putting all of the detailing work that I do on camera. A lot of it will happen off camera. Now, this is something I'm not 100% sure of. So I'm thinking this to be like a really big POI in the city. This skyscraper from Sydney, I believe. And it was like this big tall circular skyscraper, and it just fit really well into that road at that point because of the curvature of the road, I guess. So I put it in, and I'll detail it as well, just a plaza around it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And another thing I go around doing a little bit of is adding in some of those roads into each of these complexes, basically like the access paths into them, which I guess is, again, just to add a bit of realism to the entire city. And then filling in these spaces around the entire block. Just mid-rise buildings, some townhouses, and it looks pretty nice. Yeah. And a few places adding a bit of variety, as you can see. And yeah, these are the roads that go in and out. The townhouses actually do feel like a little too low density for something that's in the city, but I looked at a lot of places on Street View, and it turns out they actually do have like these townhouses that you'd consider to be more suburban, I guess. They do have these in these districts, right in the main city itself, which is a bit weird, to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. And at this point, I start to run out of ideas, to be honest, because I have ended up repeating some buildings that I've placed, which means I'm also trying my best to make sure I don't repeat buildings too close to each other. Like, I'm fine repeating them, otherwise I'm just wasting asset count on one-time use buildings. And that's something even Jeremy Thunder talks about in his videos. But yeah, I'm also trying to be cautious not to use them too close to each other, because then that just makes it obvious. And in this case, yeah, you can see there's a building on the opposite corner that is the same. I realized that after I made this entire area, so I might go back and change it. Or the story could be that these are part of like the same development, although that's a little less believable with all the buildings that surround them. And yeah, there I just got bored and just blocked down to ready-made parking lots. Yeah. Now we're filling in this block. Most of the video from this point on is just me filling in these random spaces in these empty blocks. But yeah, I come up with some fairly creative solutions to them. Here I was just sort of like strategically placing all the buildings to fill up the entire block's perimeter. And yeah, another thing that I was just reminded of is in one or two places I have placed down these like just construction buildings that you can get off the workshop. You can see one right there. I haven't detailed those. That's again something I'll probably do in a future episode, just a bunch of construction sites or something. But yeah, let me know down in the comments whether you'd prefer watching me complete a smaller area to perfection, or fill in bigger areas and then have dedicated videos to detailing smaller areas like parks or construction sites like those. Yeah, that'll be good to know. This again using some wall-to-wall blocks to fill in this area, and I added in this traditional North American style apartment block and just set it back a bit. It looks a bit weird with like all the different heights of the buildings. I'm gonna keep it for the time being. You'll notice a lot of the stuff I'm building looks a bit weird, but I think it adds a little bit to the character of the city. Nothing notable, but it's something, of course. This is one of the areas that I actually work on camera. Just because we have a bit of a height difference here. Like I mentioned, this entire district is on a hill, so it's a bit difficult to just have everything be on the same level. I have to deal with all the height differences. So just added some stairs and put down the pavement. This entire area is flat, which is how I was able to do this entire thing. So I'm just using decals, tiling the entire area in front of these buildings, and inside this entire like courtyard, I guess. And my story for this area is that this is sort of like an older low-rise condo complex that stayed around. The actual assets are from, I think, a dorm building. And yeah, I was thinking of what like the lore behind this area could be, but I couldn't think of really anything very detailed, I suppose, about it. Yeah, I'm using those decals there, adding in these quote-unquote bike paths. They aren't real bike paths, you know? Yeah. It's not going to be functional like that, but it's definitely something. I'm not sure how realistic this is, but it looks nice. That's something. Anyways, we're getting near the end of the video, so if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned to how the city progresses over the next few episodes. I'm not going to spoil what's coming in the next one, so you're going to have to stay tuned for that. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.